What the West is looking at is that they envisage a new human industry. The new human industry will make it possible to replace organ parts of sick people. Instead of continuously taking drugs for any medical condition. So what that means is that if you have a heart disease and you go to a doctor, the doctor will could take a sample from that your diseased heart, send it to the biotech companies, which are actually most of them in this category are owned by Bill Gates. They will now clone exactly that heart of that person. And how will they do this? They will take the cell the doctor sent them and remove the nuclear material, that's the nucleus that has all the genetic information. Now they will get the egg of a woman or eggs of women, because they will need several eggs for this. They will remove the nucleus on that egg and then transfer the nucleus from that disease heart into that egg. So that's what we call somatic cell nuclear transfer. So when they transfer it and then they keep it in a culture to grow into a heart, replicating the exact heart of that diseased person. But now that heart will be brand new without disease. They can now send that heart back to the doctor and they will now implant it into the patient. And of course the person must have paid maybe $2 million or $1 million or whatever the cost involved. But this process of doing this is a manual process. That means making this transfer into the egg of a woman. So the eggs of women could be taken in hundreds just to do one procedure. So they will need about 100 million eggs, which will come from 10 million women. So when they looked at the map of the world and saw where on earth can we get up to 10 million women to donate egg? Okay. The plant genocide is restricted to Nigeria. But one has to understand, why do they need to kill the doctors? They kill the farmers because they wanted to make sure they eliminate all the seed growers in the country. So when they eliminate the seed growers, the natural seeds will never be available again. And how they did that was very simple. What they did was that they just gave 14 million cell phones to all Nigerian farmers, so they could track those people who were being paid for seeds. So when other farmers go to them, they go to buy seeds, and then they know that this person was being paid for seeds, so he's the one selling the seeds. So they now use the GPS coordinates on these so-called electronic wallets, which are just cell phones, to target all of them and eliminate them. When you eliminate the natural seed growers, there will be no other alternative to the GMO, genetically modified organisms, foods and seeds. So they brought these seeds as improved seeds. The other farmers, they drove them into IDP camps and came to these IDP camps under the different NGOs and international agencies and presented these GMO seeds. So the farmers will now leave, they will temporarily hold their military activities in those areas, so the farmers will go and resettle. When they resettle, they start planting the GMO seeds. Once you plant the GMO seeds that first time, that first seed you get from that your maize, if you eat it, that will be the last you are going to eat. Because if you take the seed from that GMO corn and plant it, it will not grow. The gene that allows replication has been switched off. So you have to go back to the person who produced the initial seed. That is, in this case in Nigeria, it will be Monsanto. Between 2015 and 2018, 37,500 people, victims, were killed by Boko Haram. These were farmers. Then of these 37,500, 32,000, that's 85%, were Muslims. 5,500 were Christians. And in states like Zamfara, 60% of the victims were Hausa, 40% were Fulani. So it became clear that this has nothing to do with Islamic terrorism. It has to do with elimination of all the seed growers.
Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fine where you are. And if you're not doing fine, please try and do fine. It's always good to be fine, and it's so bad not to be fine. Yes. Now, if I try and ask you, what was one of those favorite memories that you had while you were in your primary school or high school? No, let's do primary school. What was that your favorite memory? To me, it was the English teacher. Yeah, he really loved me. He called me, Evans, today I'm going to make you the president of the class. Now here in Kenya, we call them prefect, the class prefect. The class prefect is like the president of the class. Now the class acts as a classroom, as a government. The head of the prefects for the entire school was called the head boy. The head boy is like the European Union, the African Union, the UN, such organizations. Yeah. Now I remember when I was made to be the prefect, I met a lot of challenges that I never thought were existent. Sometimes you might look at something and you might not see the challenges that it has. You might appreciate something not knowing that that thing you are appreciating has its challenges. You understand? So basically, when the deal is too good, think twice. Why was the teacher making me to be a prefect? Is something I came to learn later on after I failed as a prefect. When the deal is too good, think twice. And not everything that glitters is gold. My situation in primary school can be likened to the situation that I'm about to tell you right now.
So this whole new program is what they are on now, to map and target and kill the doctors. This was exactly what they did for the farmers. Bill Gates donated, in quote, 14 million cell phones, which they call the electronic wallets. The idea was that they were going to give 2 billion naira loan or grant to farmers. What the plan, as far as the doctors are concerned, is that the doctors of Nigeria are the people who should, according to their plan, collect the eggs of women, which will now be used for the cloning procedure we call somatic cell nuclear transfer. And this is what I want to explain, what this is all about. Okay. Now, what the West is looking at is that they envisage a new human industry. The new human industry will make it possible to replace organ parts of sick people instead of continuously taking drugs for any medical condition. So what that means is that if you have a heart disease and you go to a doctor, the doctor will could take a sample from that your diseased heart, send it to the biotech companies, which are actually, most of them in this category are owned by Bill Gates. They will now clone exactly that heart of that person. And how will they do this? They will take the cell the doctor sent them and remove the nuclear material, that's the nucleus that has all the genetic information. Now they will get the egg of a woman, or eggs of women, because they will need several eggs for this. They will remove the nucleus on that egg and then transfer the nucleus from that disease heart into that egg. So that's what we call somatic cell nuclear transfer. So when they transfer it and then they keep it in a culture to grow into a heart, replicating the exact heart of that diseased person, but now that heart will be brand new without disease. They can now send that heart back to the doctor and they will now implant it into the patient. And of course, the person must have paid maybe $2 million or $1 million or whatever the cost involved. But this process of doing this is a manual process. That means making this transfer into the egg of a woman. So the eggs of women could be taken in hundreds just to do one procedure. So they will need about 100 million eggs, which will come from 10 million women. So when they looked at the map of the world and saw where on earth can we get up to 10 million women to donate egg?
Okay, so they find Africa as Nigeria as a resource base for that purpose.
Yes. When they looked at Nigeria, it looked very much promising for them. Okay. So Nigeria has the population over 250 million people, about that now.
Yeah, Prof. You see, this thing is very. Why is this thing? I want to find out. Is this effort by Govt?
There is this beautiful, wonderful sister from the United States of America. She sent me a video. She wants me to react on this video. She's saying, make sure you watch this video till the end. She insists. Then you'll understand the mess Nigeria is into. Please, we need to educate our people as well as secure food for ourselves. Farming is the only solution. Yeah, that is the thing that the sister told me. Remember, let me give you some spoilers. Remember, Bill Gates has always shown a lot of interest with African countries, particularly Kenya. He really loves coming to Kenya. He loves coming to Kenya because in Kenya he has his own prefect. He has a prefect of his in Kenya, a prefect, William Samoei Ruto. Bill Gates loves him. So Bill Gates has been trying to bring his ideas of GMO, genetically modified organisms, and GMF, genetically modified food, into Kenya. He thinks that GMO and GMF are going to do away with the problem of starvation and famine. But in the long run, this is not the truth. GMO and GMF are just going to bring more and more deaths into African countries. And I'll be a very, very educated professor, a black professor, is going to explain why this is so. Why is it paradoxical that instead of GMO and GMF eradicating and enhancing lives, and eradicating famine and enhancing life, is doing the opposite, exact opposite to the humankind? To answer that question, I want us to watch this video, and then I shall share with you my critical analysis by the end of this video.
It's restricted to Nigeria, or are there other African countries or other parts of the world that are being affected by what they're doing?
The planned genocide is restricted to Nigeria. But one has to understand, why do they need to kill the doctors? They kill the farmers because they wanted to make sure they eliminate all the seed growers in the country. So when they eliminate the seed growers, the natural seeds will never be available again. And how they did that was very simple. What they did was that they just gave 14 million cell phones to all Nigerian farmers, so they could track those people who were being paid for seeds. So when other farmers go to them, they go to buy seeds, and then they know that this person was being paid for seeds, so he's the one selling the seeds. So they now use the GPS coordinates on these so-called electronic wallets, which are just cell phones, to target all of them and eliminate them. When you eliminate the natural seed growers, there will be no other alternative to the GMO, genetically modified organisms, foods and seeds. So they brought these seeds as improved seeds. The other farmers, they drove them into IDP camps and came to these IDP camps under the different NGOs and international agencies and presented these GMO seeds. So the farmers will now leave, they will temporarily hold their military activities in those areas, so the farmers will go and resettle. When they resettle, they start planting the GMO seeds. Once you plant the GMO seeds that first time, that first seed you get from that your maize, if you eat it, that will be the last you are going to eat. Because if you take the seed from that GMO corn and plant it, it will not grow. The gene that allows replication has been switched off. So you have to go back to the person who produced the initial seed. That is, in this case in Nigeria, it will be Monsanto. They will now use them to reproduce these seeds. So these seeds are what actually makes the agricultural produce to move on. So they are using this technique to eliminate all the natural seed growers. And then when the remaining farmers don't have any other place to get seeds than to go to them for that. Now, where do the doctors come in? The doctors come in the fact that when they capture the food security, which they actually have done now, because most of the seed growers have been killed. Just to give you an example, between 2015 and 2018, 37,500 victims were killed by Boko Haram. These were farmers. Then of these 37,500, 32,000, that's 85%, were Muslims. 5,500 were Christians. And in states like Zamfara, 60% of the victims were Hausa, 40% were Fulani. So it became clear that this has nothing to do with Islamic terrorism. It has to do with elimination of all the seed growers. Now they have eliminated the seed growers. Now they're moving into the second phase of their program. Now, when the farmers go to them, we now depend exclusively on the GMOs.
So you mean we now depend on GMOs right now?
Exactly. Because without the GMOs, you cannot really get seeds, unless we are getting seeds from different African countries and some places. Some places in the south, especially southwest, and some parts of southeast, we can still get our own seeds because the Boko Haram have not really infiltrated them. But they are trying to do that. So what is happening now is that they want to move into the next phase. The next phase is whereby they will have total monopoly of the seeds. And then they will tell the farmers, you want us to give you seed? Okay, we can give you seed, but on the premise that you must tell your wife and daughters to go and donate their ovarian eggs.
That's a conditional gift. No?
Conditional gift. Food, that is, if you want food, you have to donate ovarian eggs, the eggs of women. And why do they have to do that? They have to do that because the Western countries need these ovarian eggs for cloning. Nigeria is the only country in the world and in the history of the world which has legalized collection of organs without consent. So your organ, which you own, which is your person, if you go to the hospital, they can collect that organ without your consent, because it states in the National Health Act of 2014 and 2015, actually signed in 2015, states that you can actually collect that organ without consent. In section 48 and 51 of the National Health Act 2014 version of it, actually states that you can collect that organ without consent. You can collect organ and you can collect the gametes, that is the eggs of women, without consent of the patient.
That's very dangerous.
That's very dangerous, but it was allowed into law. I personally led the doctors' delegation in the National Assembly hearing, at the Senate hearing, and pointed this out before Ike Ekweremadu, before Governor, the main proponent of the law, who was Ifeanyi Okowa, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa then. And then, of course, Ngige was also, Senator Ngige then was also present at that public hearing. I pointed this out, that you cannot do this under any law, but They overruled the public hearing, and Senator Ekweremadu, who was the person who was conducting the public hearing, did not heed to all the calls by all the people present. And what happened? They passed the law with this defect. So all the people who are waiting to harvest organs, harvest eggs, are all in Nigeria. They are setting up their different NGOs. Can you explain why there is a multiplicity of NGOs in the Northeast, where there is a conflict going on?
Okay. Doc, I will come back to this. But what I want to ask now, I mean, why is the GET focused on Nigerian doctors?
Yes.
Can you address that?
He's focused on Nigerian doctors because he now wants to harvest these eggs, and doctors are the people going to harvest these eggs. These are going to be in hospitals, but Nigerian doctors, he knows, because of our high moral standard, and I must say very high moral standard, our doctors will not do that, because our doctors know that if you keep on harvesting those eggs in those women 2 to 3 years later, they will die. They will die of liver failure, kidney failure, infections, some other complications. So we know that that's going to happen. So we're not going to do that. And when he called us, and I must say, I was physically present when Bill Gates called us through the General Electric, who he awarded the contract to build 260 hospitals in Nigeria, so that it will be at his hospitals they will be harvesting these organs and harvesting these eggs. So he will now take us out of the health sector. He invited the leaders in the private health sector and said, okay, look, I'm ready to offer you money to leave the healthcare sector. We told him before the executives of GE that he is mad and insane to demand such a thing.
To leave medical practice.
Then we should leave medical practice, and then he will pay us, no matter the amount of dollars we ask for. So we said, you are mad. We are not going to do that, and to hell with you.
Is that really?
We told him off before the executives of, I was personally present. The lab people, the president and secretaries of the lab, National Organization of the Laboratory Scientists was there. The president and secretary of the community pharmacies was there. And we told him to his face, to his presence, because they were talking on, it was a telecom conference, and then the executives of General Electric were there at their headquarters in Abuja. So we told him off that you cannot do that, even with all your money and all your thing, is not going to be possible. Now, since we rejected that offer, he has moved to his second option. Eliminate, kill all these doctors, and then take over the health care. And he told us they have already taken off the whole government hospitals. They bought the federal medical centers, they bought the university teaching hospitals. So what is remaining now is for us to get out of business so he can carry out. So these hospitals will become places where foreigners can get organs. It will become places where he will harvest the ovarian eggs, and it will become a killing house for ordinary Nigerians. This is why this is dangerous, and this is why this country must, not just to stop it, not just to ban GMOs, we must call for an international inquiry in which Bill Gates will be brought before the courts of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice. We must bring it the same way Nuremberg trial was done during the Nazi Germany.
Now, after listening to what the doctor said, I can say the doctor is just reinforcing what I just told you before. When the deal is too good, just think twice. You understand? When the deal is too good, think twice. Thinking twice might save you your life one time. Someone cannot just come from nowhere and give you something for free. No. Not so many people can do that. We have people who can do that, but not so many people. Most of the time, there are always ropes attached, not strings. A string might be too thin, but these ones are ropes, clearly shown. You can see that the doctor is telling us that those GMO food that we eat are designed to make us always going to the shop and always buying from them. It's an agenda by Bill Gates. Bill Gates is not just the richest man in the whole world for no reason. There's a reason that keeps him on top. And some of these are his reasons. He has made Africa to be his playing ground. He's made African leaders be his prefects. Remember the idea about the prefect. Bill Gates and his evil agendas is prevailing in Africa because of the leaders that we elect. The leaders we elect are allowing people like Bill Gates and so many other people. I know we have other people. It's not only Bill Gates himself, but they are being allowed into Africa. The gateway that they are passing through is the African leaders, the wicked, the corrupt African leaders that are selling out Africans to those puppet masters. You understand? Now, about the eggs, about eggs, giving your egg to someone so that they can reproduce a heart. God was not foolish. He wasn't foolish. He said, after man had sinned, man shall surely die. You understand? And then he went ahead and said, man shall not live past 120 years. We've seen people who have lived 120, even past that. Japan is the country, is one of the actually it's the top one country which has people with longest life expectancy. If you want the oldest people in this whole world, go to Japan. If it is not the top one, then it's amongst the top 10 or the top 5. And then ahead, God goes ahead and he says, man shall not live past 75 years. And if he lives past 75 years, 76 years onwards will be years of suffering. That one God reassured us. Now we as humans, with the knowledge we have, we've decided we are going to override the commands of God. We are going to live to infinity if possible. You understand? The reason why we have these agendas of regenerating a heart out of getting other people's cells forcefully, not just willingly, but forcefully blackmailing them into them donating their ovaries and them donating their cells so that you can extract an element that God put there. This element is an element that enables reproduction, and you want that you will be doing business, because one of the most expensive things in this world is an organ. An organ is very, very expensive. In Kenya, we've had people who heads were missing. Heads. You don't know where the heads have gone to, but the heads are missing. Bodies are there. Heads are missing. It must be one of these agendas that we are talking about. There has to be something with the human head that these people are using to do. Oh Lord, this world is just crashing. Every day you wake up to every new sad news. But this one, I can just laugh. I can just laugh at what Bill Gates and whoever it may be. You can never ever go against God. I don't care how much rich you are. You can never ever do against that. You can't be great than Nebuchadnezzar. You can't be great than Solomon. No. These people suffered. They suffered. They had all it takes. Solomon even had wives. He had money. He had all that. But at the end he comes to say, vanity, vanity, vanity. Everything is vanity. It's all vanity. I was watching here. This is just vanity, vanity, vanity. Why would someone else's life be cheap and someone else's life be expensive? This person, you think they don't deserve to live, and you come to give an organ that God gave them to someone else. Who decides on that ground? Who decides which life is more important than the other? It's not in our place as humans to make such decisions. We leave that decisions to the Most High God. He gave us commandments for a reason. One of the commandments is this: thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. Also, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's property. Whatever is your neighbor is your neighbor. It's never yours. Just work hard to have yours. And if God does not bless you in this lifetime with yours, pray to God that He blesses your children or your sisters or your brothers. Do not covet. These people are coveting African DNA. We saw the other day with the melanin. Today it's the ovaries. Today it's the GMO. Africa has turned into a circus. You know, when you invite a joker into a palace, the joker turns the palace into a circus. Now we don't see a palace, we see a circus. A circus is full of jokers, full of playful things. There's no seriousness over there. In as much as this agenda is trying to work out, these things are things which were prophesied in the Bible. They were prophesied. It shouldn't take you as surprise. They were prophesied. It would come to happen. God has allowed this to happen for a reason. Now I'm happy because we have insiders. I call them insiders. We have whistleblowers who are creating awareness, such as this doctor. They are making us understand, that free phone I was given that free phone in exchange of something you can never buy. Tell me where you will go and buy an ovary. Tell me. Just show me show me the shop. Show in the comment section. Show me where you can go and buy an ovary. I'll give you some money as well to go and buy that ovary. Where? We can't. It is a gift from God. It is a gift from God. Sterilization, the killing of cows. It's too much. It's too much, man. These are one of those videos I normally create with my whole heart. These are one of those videos that I really feel. I feel it, man. God has to take action upon these people. God has to take action upon these people. God has to take action upon these people. He has to take action upon these people. He has to take action upon these people. Remember, God destroyed the world. I won't apologize for using the name God, by the way. I won't apologize. God destroyed this world twice. The first time, he used water. The second time, he used fire. Two opposites. How great is he? He used two opposites, fire and water. When he destroyed the world using water, there was one sin that was getting out of hand. Human beings could have been kicked out of existence. Now we had these beings from the heavens. They are called the Watchers. The Watchers are a special category of angelic beings. So while they were doing their work of watching over humans, they noticed the daughters of man. They found the daughters of man were fair. They found the daughters of man were beautiful. And they decided that they were going to have a relationship with these daughters of man. And so they decided, because they were angelic beings, they decided to visit earth and take a human form. They decided to marry these daughters of man. Oh my boy. You know what happened? They gave birth, of course. When you bring male and female, fertile ones, you get a baby. But this baby never stopped growing. Forever growing babies. They were just growing. They were growing forever. These beings were called giants, or the Nephilims. The Bible calls them the Nephilims. These Nephilims came and started doing crossbreeding. They started taking humans plus donkeys genes, in putting them together. They came and started taking cow versus pig, putting them together. Human versus horse, putting them together. You see those Greek mythology where you find a horse and a human being. You find a baby with flying and he has an arrow. You find a human fish with something, with a rod. Hollywood does not borrow from nothing. Literature does not exist in a vacuum. It has a space where it exists. And this space is what happened. They are using what happened to tell you. Because nothing is never new under the sun. Nothing is never new. I'm so saddened by this news I'm hearing. I'm so saddened, actually. What do they take Africans for? Like, what do they take us for? Are we just people who come and kick around and, you walk away? No. I don't think so. These people started interbreeding, and the produce were nothing. Even biology says this. We have the 7 taxonomic units, starting with the kingdom and the species. The species are a group of organisms whose members can freely interbreed to give rise to viable offsprings. That is what we call a species. Even God does not permit crossbreeding. There's a category he does not agree. If you try, you won't give birth. This will not give birth to another one. That's why we say viable. It will never. Bill Gates is trying to defy the laws of nature. Oh my boy. I want to see if you will succeed with this. Eventually, in the end game, it will become a failure. It will become a failure. God destroyed the world because of this interbreeding and sin. The second one was the case of homosexuality. And now I'm seeing the things which are happening in the past, happening today. Solomon says, nothing is never new under the sun. And this is what we are experiencing right now. If you don't know God, I highly recommend, life is spiritual. I highly recommend, seek the kingdom of God first, and then the rest shall be added unto you. Just to know that there is somebody who is called the Creator. When I was watching this video, I watched it with a different perspective, not the creative side, but the spiritual side. This is not normal. It's not normal. God has allowed it to happen, but it's just for a short while. I don't think evil will prevail. It will never ever prevail. Yeah. That's all for today, guys. It's EFK Original Documentaries. If you like my videos, kindly give me super thanks. Subscribe, share. Just do good in this video. I'll appreciate. See you in the next one.